What's up, guys? This is Scoopman5000, and today we are back for another action figure review. Today we are taking a look at the UFC Ultimate Series, Conor McGregor. And this comes to us from Jazzwares, of course. These kind of were in the same shipment as the AEW figures that went to Ringside and Walmart. And this is kind of a random purchase for me. I'm not the biggest UFC guy, but I do like where Jazzwares is going. And I did want to check out this series. And this series especially is going to be interesting because it's kind of getting scrapped, and Series 2 of these figures is basically going to be a redo. So these figures are kind of going to exist as an anomaly. And something about that kind of intrigues me too. So what these are like kind of 6-inch, smaller scale than AEW, WWE figures, but they have the same kind of super articulation that boasts 32 points on the packaging. And what you see is what you get here. You're getting a 6-inch Conor McGregor action figure. Jazzware's really been on top of their game with their boxes so far. We got a nice big window into the package. See everything you're getting. Alternate head, the belt, the hands, everything like that. On the bottom, you got a render of Conor McGregor. On the side, you got the UFC logo, Conor McGregor. And on the other, you got a render. On the back, you got a read up some stats on Conor McGregor, and you also have the other fighters in the series. On the bottom, you got your barcodes, and on top, you got a window to let some light in. But there's not much else to it on the packaging, so let's get to it and crack open Conor McGregor. And here's your look at the Conor McGregor figure out of the packaging, and quickly we'll go over the accessories. So for starters, he has some alternate hands. He comes with these more open kind of gripping hands, and you can see the UFC logo stamped on there pretty well. Decent sculpt on there. Of course, on the figure, there are fist hands. And then probably the coolest accessory for this figure is that light heavyweight championship. Got some nice detail on it. It's not the best gold, especially you go ahead, you bring in their AEW championship. And again, this is from the same company, but obviously it seems like different design teams and kind of a difference in quality. I'm excited to see the next wave of these UFC figures because, again, that seems to be more closer to the quality of these AEW Jazzwares, but you can really tell the difference here with the title belts. So the belt has good sculpt, like I said. Maybe I'll go ahead and paint this myself because there is potential here, but it's kind of a flat gold. And then moving the head out of the way in a second, we'll get to that. I did want to point out this cloth goods Irish flag here, and this is pretty good. I mean, it's not hard to mess up, and I'm glad they didn't mess it up. But this is cool. I've seen people kind of posing it, and he has the flag behind him, and I'll be doing that with the figure when I get to the figure photography later. But I do appreciate this as an accessory, and I guess the other fighters probably come with their flags as well. Now we'll go ahead and look at the head sculpt, so we'll start with the one that comes in the packaging separate, and this is kind of, I guess, a mid-fight, a taunting Conor McGregor. Kind of a ridiculous expression here, but I do always prefer that to the plain expressions that we usually get on figures. It'll make him just a bit more dynamic. But you go ahead and you look at it, the likeness is there, I guess, but the paint isn't great. I think this looks like a few years kind of behind in technology. Again, you compare this to a Mattel wrestling figure, an AEW wrestling figure by the same company, and this is just a little bit behind feeling. And I am gonna say this a lot, but I'm interested to see how this one compares to the Series 2. But for now, as it stands, it's not a bad head, but definitely could use some work. And that brings us to the main figure and the default expression, and I guess they both do capture him pretty well. Again, I'm gonna favor the more expressive face, but this one does its job as well. You know, this could be kind of a render, pre-fight Conor McGregor. And then moving down to the torso here, I'm noticing that the mid-upper torso here is a completely different plastic color to the rest of the figure. It seems like maybe the head is that color as well, but if you look at it, especially from the back here, you can see the arms, the lower torso, the legs, they're all the same color, but then this middle torso and the head are kind of an off, darker color. It's a bit distracting once you get it under these lights, but, you know, you go ahead, you turn that off, you don't really see that too bad. But the skin tone issues aside, I really do like the tattoos. That is something that I think they did knock out of the park here. Probably the best thing on the figure in terms of detail is the tattoos. So Conor McGregor, of course, he's got that ridiculous big tattoo in his chest, his own name on his abs there, and then a tiger in the middle, because why the hell not? On the back, you got this whole pattern going. And then even on the forearm, you got some real nice detail there. That little caricature, some roses, and I think a dagger right there. So the rest of the arms are pretty plain. Again, you can see those UFC fight gloves. And this is cool. They're generic enough pieces if you wanted to customize more UFC fighters. Maybe even if you wanted to make a UFC CM Punk, if you wanted to be reminded of that embarrassment. But yeah, pretty cool sculpt for these gloves. And then moving down to the shorts here, probably the most interesting part of this figure is the cloth goods on the shorts. And this I actually do appreciate because it fits the figure well. You know, it looks like cloth goods shorts. But I will say that, you know, they're usually skin tight, the ones that Conor McGregor wears, so I could see why people take issue with this. You know, when you go ahead and you pose around the figure, it's going to bunch up a bit, but at the same time, you know, maybe that's better than having, you know, gap and you can see all the joints and stuff. It's an interesting choice. I guess you could leave it at that, but in Series 2, it seems like they've abandoned that. They're going just for the more sculpted shorts. And interesting about this guy is if you go and remove these, he does have shorts sculpted underneath just in gray. So maybe the figure was intended to be like this, and then just, you know, later in production, they decided to do cloth goods and just put it over that sculpt. But it's kind of this green and black splatter design going on here. You got UFC logo on the waist, and then Conor McGregor going down the other leg. Standard UFC shorts, but again, it's a cool detail. And there's not much more to the figure. You just got some bare legs going down, and of course the bare feet, because he is a UFC fighter. And then to go over these apparent 32 points of articulation, the head is on a hinge, and then there's also a ball joint at the top, and you can see that's where you go and you swap out for the expressive head on Conor McGregor. And you can see that. Looks back that much, and forward that much. You're getting a ball joint at the waist, which is very cool. So you're getting a lot of movement there. Or it's decent, I guess. It's going back that much and forward that much. You do get butterfly joints at the shoulders, and you could even see the tattoo kind of going over into the butterfly joint, which is good. Doesn't want to go back that much, but you do get a decent forward. The shoulder is on a hinge, and it swivels. And you do get an upper bicep cut. You get a good double jointed elbow. And then the wrist, you get in a rotation, and you're getting a hinge. At the waist, you're getting a swivel. You do get full splits with Conor McGregor. That's the best splits on any figure I've reviewed so far, which is good for a fighter. There is an upper thigh cut hidden by the shorts. You do get a good double jointed knee. Foot goes back that much, forward that much, and it does have an ankle rocker. But that about does it for your look at the Conor McGregor. And now let's go ahead and do some comparisons. So here he is with the Mattel Basic Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Here he is with the Elite Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins. Here he is with the AEW, Chris Jericho and Cody. And you can see these guys are made by the same company, but like I said, very big difference in quality here. And of course, the scale is way off as well. And then here he is with a Mattel Elite, CM Punk and Brock Lesnar. And yeah, this image right here is basically my extent of UFC knowledge. But that being said, you know, definitely CM Punk should be a little bit closer in height to McGregor. And then obviously Brock is a little bit taller than both of them. Punk is about 6 foot. I think Brock's like 6'2". And McGregor's 5'9". So I don't think that Punk should be a head taller than McGregor. So you can definitely tell that this guy is way more scaled down. He's way closer to 6-inch scale, while wrestling figures are a bit closer to 6.5, 7-inch scale. And like I said a million times already, I'm excited to see how the future UFC figures scale up with these guys. But overall, that's going to do it for your look at the Jazzware Conor McGregor figure. Overall, I like the figure better than I thought I would, but obviously he's not very compatible with my wrestling figures, and his design is a bit outdated. So, like I said, look out for Wave 2 in the future, and I'll be reviewing at least the McGregor when that comes out. Definitely want to do that comparison. But for now, this is a cool figure, a unique one for my collection, and I want to know what you guys think, so of course let me know in the comments. As always, I'm going to leave it off with some photos I took of the figure, and until then, I'll see you guys in the next action figure review.